You're watching Avenue X, and I'm back to my Chongqing setup. If you've watched my videos long enough, you know where this place is, and it's a very cramped room, so we're gonna have to make do. I hope the future videos I make during my travel will be happening in more interesting places, because I'm getting a pocket for. Now, let's get to the normal business talking about Chinese dramas. Right around the time I started travel, we have a new drama airing on Youku plus CCTV, and this is the 37 episodes period drama, Zhan Zhao Adventures. It is a quite interesting project. First, it's produced by Zhengwu Yangguang, this very well-known Chinese drama maker, and this is their first proper wuxia drama. Previously, they mostly do contemporary realism drama or dramas like Nirvana in Fire, but we're still waiting for the third series. So before that happens, we got this one. This is a drama that's based on a novel written more than 10 years ago. That is actually a fan fiction of an IP that is hundreds of years old. So this whole string of things makes it very unique. Back in Qing Dynasty, there was what would be considered in contemporary time as probably the first Chinese wuxia novel written by a person back then, and it's called Sanxia Wu Yi, which is a story that's set in Song Dynasty, talking about the Kaifengfu's most famous judge, Bao Zhen, and his group of supporters, like his bodyguard, the people who works for him, including most famous Zhan Zhao, but also Wang Chao, Ma Han, also the 5 rats of the capital of Song Dynasty. And it's obviously fictional, yet it got quite popular and it got to be an IP that got passed down. And in more contemporary times, this IP gets adapted to screen in many versions. If you know Asian dramas and you're not like 12-year-old, you probably have seen some of those dramas, particularly regarding Bao Zhen, Zhan Zhao, these two characters. Many iterations, many very good-looking actors. And about a decade ago, someone online called Minifish wrote a fanfiction, mostly focused on the character Zhan Zhao, and that is the base of Yuling the drama. You can say this whole drama is a fanfiction of a fictional character that's written by people who created them hundreds of years ago, based on even older dynasties. And in the web novel community, people would usually categorize this type of novel as 梦女文, dream girl literature, which basically means the writer is fantasizing about the main character and idealizing the main character, and they project their love, fascination about the character into the story. Therefore, often you end up with MC in this type of novel as everybody loves them, obviously including the writer too. And this is very clear in Yuling, and when you see it adapted to screen, it's pretty clear too. Is all the main characters love him. They picked Yang as the main lead, then the female lead is played by Zhang Ruonan, and the male second is played by Fang Yilun. All 3 of them are very eye candy, and if not anything, this is a very pretty drama in every sense. In terms of the production, the director is Liu Hongyuan, who is a quite long time director on Zhengwu Yangguang, and he's participated in many major Zhong Yangguang productions in the past. And the adaptation writer is Wu Tong, who has also adapted 2 very well-known 正午阳光 productions previously, which are 战长沙 and 知否知否应是绿肥红瘦, so Minglan story and the even older Yang Zi and 霍建华 drama. I have watched 15 episodes. Overall, I'm actually very happy with its quality, but it doesn't mean it doesn't have rooms to improve. Actually, there are a lot of things I wish this drama could do better. Still though, overall, I'll give it a very positive rating. Right now, probably is like a 2 gold mine, maybe slightly shy of it, but these days the scale is very loose on my end. As usual, I'll talk very briefly about what the story is, and then I'll go into the good and bad. If you know the lore of Zhan Zhao, then it wouldn't be too hard for you to get in, who's a very famous xia, but who joined the official rankings because he got a title by the emperor himself, and then he decided to serve the judge, the famous Bao Zhen. But in the story, we don't get to see Bao Zhen. We see Zhan Zhao, as the title says, Zhan Zhao Adventures. It's all about him. And basically, he starts already working for Kaifengfu and a famous wuxia character in this world setting. But he gets involved in certain cases and gets chased down by people, and that's how the story starts. Mainly, it's his story plus male second, Bai Yutang, also one of the 5 rats of the original IP, a very famous character, always been played by handsome and good at fighting actors in the past. This time played by Fang Yilun, will join and meet him very soon. Also, the female lead pretty much meets him right from the beginning. She's also a very good fighter in a story setting who belongs to a very famous sect or family that's famous for certain things, and she runs out of her family because she's trying to dodge a arranged marriage and runs into Zhan Zhao. It's just a lot of running away from enemies, a lot of fighting, a lot of trying to figure out what's going on in the particular places where there's a lot of corruptions and a lot of like bad people. We shall see where it gets to. I haven't read the original novel. I don't know much about it. I only know that it's been termed as the dream girl literature. I would first mention the things I wish it could improve on, because overall I have a very good impression of this drama, so I'll talk about all the good things later. Point number 1, an old disease of contemporary Chinese dramas, particularly regarding younger and traffic actors, which would be their line delivery. If you have to rank among the 3 leads, I would say Fang Yilun is the best line deliverer, and then Yang Yang, and then Zhang Rounan. But Yang Yang and Zhang Rounan are pretty much comparable. Compared to older actors, they are very weak at line delivery. Mostly it comes down to, first, Mandarin often is not perfectly pronounced. They have slight accent here and there. Other things are they really weren't trained. Mouth muscle doesn't have enough control and strength, resulting in particularly Yang Yang and Zhang Rounan tends to swallow their syllables. Certain words can be pronounced a lot more clearer, and that would be a standard for performance, but they just don't do it. I really wish all actors in China would have to be forced to go through Mandarin tests, because we do have those standard tests in China, and get to a certain level, because there are like Jia Yi Bing and different levels to be qualified to act, because sometimes it's just very frustrating and it doesn't sound like a dramatic period storytelling enough if you cannot do the lines properly. In comparison, Fang Yilun is better, but he also has problems. He has a very set tonal kind of like flow of the sentences, and he tends to swallow the NG. I think he's from the south, so this is a very common thing where they just take out the NG of a word if it has the nasal sound, and they take out the G and it becomes N. And there are many like on word that turns into N word, which is a big problem of if you cannot speak proper Mandarin. One of the major things is this. Anyway, so it's a pain for me to listen to them speaking their lines. Often it's like, oh, that line needs to be re-recorded if I was a director, but clearly that wasn't happening. It takes me out of the story a lot. Second point, that is only to one actress, which is Zhang Rounan. She's pretty, okay, but she doesn't look like she belongs to that period of time. It comes from, first, it's just naturally how she looks. She is a very contemporary looking person. It's hard to say what is contemporary, what is not contemporary, but Yang Yang is a very sort of fitting standard Chinese ancient beauty guy, standard looking guy. When he dresses up, you can believe he's an ancient person, whereas Zhang Rounan looks way too contemporary. She looks so much better in contemporary makeup, hairstyle, and clothing. And that's nothing she can do because that's what she looks like. But then her posture, the way she holds herself, walk, talk, move, also doesn't help. It doesn't look like she's the part. She's very contemporary, even the way she carries herself. In the movement in a video, it takes me out of the story constantly. Plus, her line delivery doesn't help. Plus, she's definitely not the strong type. By which I mean not like you have to be big, but you have to be very toned and trained. You can tell she doesn't have much core strength, so when she does all the fighting, either it's stunt person and you can see sometimes the stunt person's face, or it's her, but it's like with a lot of quick cut and wire work help, that you know this person who's fighting actually doesn't have that much strength or core control over her body. And when she fights, it's very filmy. It doesn't feel like there's actual power in it, particularly in comparison to the two male actors. Yang Yang is a professional dancer, so he knows how to control his body mid-air. And the speed and the strength and even the angles where like he can bend certain things, right, of his body is more than normal people. And you can tell that in the fighting sequence. So he can play a convincing Zhan Zhao because he has that training. He was a professional dancer and one of the really good ones of a very prestigious school that had he not chosen to become an actor, he would have become a really professional national troupe dancer. So the comparison between the male actors with the female, it just makes her not convincing at all. In terms of in the story setting, she's actually a very good fighter, and she has like special skills that the other two guys don't have because it's her family legacy, whatever, and you just don't believe it. Like I look at Zhong Zhao and she's like pretty but contemporary, pretty but she can't fight. There's no way she can fight. It does not make sense, and that definitely takes me out of the wuxia setup of the story. The last thing I would say is, although these three actors don't do a bad job, they also don't do a fantastic job in terms of their performance on its own. Single-handedly will make you feel, wow, this is great. Like sometimes they're very good actors, their performance is so good that you can almost ignore other things of the imperfections of the production, and you would say, I believe in the character, believe in their performance, therefore it's a very successful production. Whereas this one, it doesn't get helped by their great performances, right? It just doesn't get tanked by bad performances. Ideally, always you want as good a performance as someone can get for dramas, but it doesn't happen to this drama. Now, that's all the bad things. Let's talk about the great things. Number one, very beautiful production. One of the prettiest period drama looking thing I've seen in the last couple of years. I like the fact that Zhongwu Yangguang picked the route of not using very cheap texture and ridiculous colors and sets to like idol dramas you see these days in period dramas. It picks a very dare to use shadow and light contrast way of light the scenes and actors. Doesn't really resolve to skin smoothing. It just looks very wuxia. It's slightly desaturated, high contrast, and very cinematic and grainy, kind of like film looking texture. Much better than normal idol period dramas, like fantasy dramas, people dressed in long sleeve and fighting. For any of those type of dramas, this one stands out as the best looking one in the last couple of years. So just for the visual pleasure end of things, it's great. Not to mention these three people really look great on screen, particularly Yang. So let's talk about him being Zhan Zhao. We've had He Jiajing, we've had Jiao Wenjun in the past. Those are the two most classic and best known actors who've played Zhan Zhao this role in Chinese speaking regions, productions. As a new proper Zhan Zhao, I think Yang is a very good choice. Not only because he is still pretty after almost 20 years since he first came to the scene in Hong Lou Meng. He still maintains a very young looking face. Like he looks a lot younger than his real age. He's kept it up very well. Not only his face, but his body and his fighting and his dancing skills never left him, which means privately he does do a lot of work. And also his professional dancing background really helped this role, and you need a proper trained person to do a wuxia role. You either have like people like Zheng Yecheng, who's from Beijing Opera kind of training, or you have dancers, or even like just straight out of wuxia like Cao Jun. You need these type of people to play a purely based on how good their fighting is, that they're famous character in the canon. In this sense, Yang is a perfect choice. And the great thing about this drama is he is very much like the Immortal Ascension Yang, where he's not showing off like that, right? In certain other dramas we've seen him, either it's like in this drama, the director clearly says we need this type, or that with his aging, right, he's realizing previously the type of super thinking of himself as idols kind of thing is not helping his career. Whatever the reason, ever since I think 凡人修仙传, he's dropped a lot of those pretentiousness and self-awareness and look how handsome I am to the camera, sort of like as if he's always addressing the audiences, look at how impressive I am, and the jawline. He's dropped quite a lot of that. Maybe it's also due to the absolute mess that happened after that contemporary drama he did, and he got so laughed at online that he finally adjusted his direction. So in this one, he's even less, I think, show off than Immortal Ascension, and it really worked quite well. Now you can believe he's a proper character and he doesn't offend you with his presence on screen. Thank heavens. And I watched a couple of episodes and I have to stop and say, 脸在,江山在. He's a classic actor of that, which is if your face is still maintained, then your kingdom is still maintained. Yang will never be the best actor of anything, but they will say he's one of the super pretty one. It's very true in this case. In this drama, there are many good shots of him, and you constantly marvel at what a good-looking guy. And he's like a good-looking guy who jumped out of an ancient novel or an ancient painting of his like particular type of face, eyes, just looks so proper for period dramas. He's one of those people who are born perfect for period dramas. for wigs and for dressed up like that and fighting. And he fights really, really well. So the next point that's positive is compared to every other things I've seen in the last couple of years, that's wuxia, this one is one of the best. Strange Tales of Tang Dynasty does have good fighting scenes too. And this one does it in a slightly different style. And I think due to different people have different levels. For example, Yang Yang is really, really good. Fang Yilun is not bad. And Zhang Ruonan is just too weak. Therefore, it drags down the overall score of like the main leads in a wuxia. But if you just look at Yang Yang as Zhan Zhao, the main character, then he's doing a marvelous job. He's doing probably a better job than most of the other non-martial art trained actors. And this drama does allow you to see longer sequences of a fight instead of cutting it into many angles, particularly when it's on Yang Yang. And they do know how to move the camera and just create that momentum with the camera to make you feel the fight is very visceral. It's better than pretty much 95% of other stuff out there, but it's not yet at the sort of same level as that heyday of wuxia, but that's a different story. We probably will never go back to that due to there aren't that many professional choreographers. Also, actors are really not from that kind of background anymore, and we may never be able to replicate that era. But based on what we have in the last couple of years, this one is already the best. And the next thing is there's a lot of fighting. The first 5 episodes, I feel like it's almost non-stop. One fight after another, after another, after another, because they're on the run. The main characters are always being chased by bad people. There's constant one-on-one, one-on-many, many, like constant fight. If you are just like a huge fan of that much sword work, then this definitely is a drama you should check out. Last good thing is the drama is not boring. I wouldn't say the plot is so well written that it's page turning and you just so want to find out what happens. But overall, it doesn't drag. It doesn't waste time on anything. And pretty much it really doesn't have 感情线, which is emotional or romantic line. You can say there's a little bit flirting going on between characters occasionally. But based on the original novel, there actually isn't a proper romantic relationship. It is a dream girl literature. Therefore, everybody loves him, therefore he cannot love everyone back, right? So there's no clear one-on-one romantic relationship in this drama, I believe. It would just be friendship, mostly. Occasionally, you can ship Yang Yang and Fang Yilun because they definitely intentionally like smash them together sometimes. But it's not the BL. Occasionally, they also make it kind of a little bit bubbling between Zhang Ruonan and Yang Yang's character, but it never really get anywhere properly. So, if you worry about too much like stupid romantic line in the story, don't worry, there probably isn't any proper one, and maybe you would want one, but they will not give you because it's a dream girl literature. And mostly it's still focused on the fights, the bad people, the good people, the investigation of cases. In terms of case writing quality, it's not even really comparable to, say, Strange Tales of Tang Dynasty, but it's not bad. It's just like they are the excuse for the story to keep happening and for the characters to keep going on different journeys and having their fights and looking pretty. So at the end of this video, I would say this is not a disappointment. It is very close to what I expect this drama could be. Obviously, you always wish it could be better, but I think so far it's already a success. It just depends on the next 20 or so episodes, how well it's all gonna fare. And I will watch till the end of this drama, but I don't know if I will get around to make a video on it anymore, as there are way too many dramas going on that I absolutely have no time to check out. And I'll do my best, but if life happens, then it happens. Thank you for watching Avenue X. I'll see you in my next video. Hopefully that will be a better shot video in a more interesting place. Until then, live long and happy drama watching.